Oscar Alberto Ramirez and his daughter tried to cross the Rio Grande after being unable to seek asylum in the United States. They both drowned. Oscar's daughter would have turned 2 next month. And now a photo of the father and toddler lying face down in shallow water, surrounded by empty beer cans, with the toddler's arm wrapped around Oscar, indicating she clung on to him in their final moments, is circulating all over the media. And I understand the graphic nature of these images and how it might seem dehumanizing, but the severity of this journey goes unnoticed by millions of Americans who think these migrants are just line cutting. The image is meant to invoke similar feelings as the photo of Alan Kurdi, a drowned 2-year-old boy who washed ashore in Turkey 4 years ago.
The pictures that you're seeing right now is the dead body of a small child. He and his family, believed to be from Syria, were refugees trying to get from the Turkish coast to Greece.
This was meant to show the human toll of the migrant crisis in Syria in the aftermath of the civil war, which had displaced 11 million Syrians. Alan's father now thinks that despite the image's power, it did not change people's minds. The common factor leading to both of these migrant toddlers' deaths is U.S. foreign policy. And I don't just mean the U.S. needed to open its borders and accept these migrants. I mean the U.S. is directly involved in the creation and escalation of the conflicts in Syria and El Salvador that caused these refugee crises.
It all began in the early 1980s when El Salvador was in the midst of a brutal civil war. It was the height of the Cold War, and the Reagan administration, fearful of communist expansion in Central America, supported the military-backed government with arms and financing. 75,000 were killed in the conflict, mostly at the hands of government forces.
The U.S. offered support to right-wing paramilitary death squads that engaged in some of the most horrific atrocities in El Salvador, which included throwing babies in the air and bayoneting them. These were the people that our military trained, okay? Those atrocities included the rape and murder of 4 American nuns by Salvadorian National Guardsmen, but the U.S. government covered up for the death squads, and then the refugees started coming.
It's estimated that hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans fled their war-torn country, seeking refuge in the United States.
And when the refugees came, the U.S. put them in cities with terrible conditions. And with no hope for the future, some young Salvadorans joined gangs to survive. One of those gangs is most famously known as MS-13. But then they were deported back to El Salvador, where the gangs thrived. The U.S. didn't even release the criminal information of those who were being deported. Now, El Salvador is ravaged by gang violence that has killed nearly 20,000 in 3 years. So we created the terrible conditions in the country, we made it worse, we lied about it, and then refused to help at all. And now, when the innocent victims seek help, we refuse to treat them as human beings. Great. There is no stopping the flow of migrants into this country until we understand that the conditions at home are so bad that they're willing to risk their lives in a desperate attempt at freedom. That photo, albeit as a visceral one, should show you this reality. So either we need to continue increasing the dehumanizing brutality that we subject refugees to in our concentration camps, which has been the subject of discussion this past week, or we need to start improving the conditions in countries like El Salvador while accepting as many migrants as we can. After making the trek through Mexico, Oscar Ramirez was denied a date to request asylum at the U.S. consulate. The U.S. metering policy has dramatically reduced the number of migrants who are allowed to request asylum, down from dozens a day, which was low to begin with, to sometimes just a handful at some ports of entry, while there are 800 to 1,700 names on a wait list. The way the U.S. seeks to deal with this issue is by making Mexico deal with it, which means that it will get worse. I'm Hasan Piker. If you are horrified by this reality, please share this video with your friends and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And this has been The Breakdown. Never miss another breakdown video by ringing the bell below. You'll get notified whenever we publish something new. Also, don't forget to join TYT today. Download our TYT Plus app on your phone or head on over to tyt.com/join.